Considering home security? Consider this. For 140 years, ADT has helped stop more crime than any other home security company. The yard sign isn't just a sign, it's a line in the sand. It's no wonder 5 times more people choose ADT to protect their homes. Visit ADT.com to learn more. For license information and terms and conditions, visit ADT.com.
Lots to get to. The tweets keep coming in at Golick and Wingo on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Karaoke night. What ESPN personality and what song would you like to hear him sing based on Junior's sort of foray last night with some friends?
Yeah, we had the ESPN, again, air quotes, talent meeting yesterday, of which a guy sitting in our studio came in town for, because he's not only ESPN talent, but was pretty talented on the basketball
He's just
court
talent
as well, yeah. And that would be one Scottie Pippen joining us. So, because I wanted to ask you, my son was out last night with a bunch of ESPN people. They ended up karaokeing. So we're asking people out there at Golick and Wingo, if you pick an ESPN or ESPN personality, what song would you have them karaoke? You ever go karaoke? You a karaoke guy at all?
No.
No?
I like watching, but I'm not good on the microphone.
You
singing.
never were partaking at karaoke night, huh?
You know, maybe after a few cocktails.
Yeah, well, that's normally how it is. Isn't that
pretty
the
much the recipe?
Yeah. Who goes up there without having a few cocktails? That's what I want to know.
I don't want to know that guy.
No, I don't either.
By the way, as you listen to Scottie talk, one of the 50 greatest players in the history of the NBA and a Hall of Famer back in 2010, when you say I'm not really good with a microphone, brother, if you didn't play, you could have been the greatest FM DJ of all time.
Exactly right.
You listen to those dulcet tones come through the mic, and I'm like, man, I get it. You were a good NBA player. I think you might have missed your calling. The smooth tones are almost as good as anything you did on the court.
You know, that's one of the other things we would ask, like, entertainers when we would have them on. Because entertainers, I've always said, entertainers wanted to be athletes, and athletes wanted to be entertainers. If you could have been, like, one of the 50 greatest at anything else other than basketball like you are, what were outside of the world of sports, what would it have been?
Wow. Well, I like entertainment, so I would probably say a singer.
See, that's where I would go. That's what I would want to do.
You want to be Gordon Lightfoot, though.
I just want to be able to stand up and sing and have people go, "Wow, is he a great singer?"
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
you just want to dance with somebody.
Well, there you
go. So again. 2 minutes into the segment, we're glad we're completely off track with Scottie
Absolutely
Pippen,
right.
Who's probably in here to give us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, best phones, best networks, no contracts, specifically with basketball. We'll see if we can get him to do a little Barry White later if he wants to be a singer with those
That's
pipes.
where he would go, yeah.
That would work out very well. It worked out well, I guess, for the Oklahoma City Thunder last night in the sense that they got the win and Paul George's return. But this is a team, Scottie, that just has not figured out how these three guys, Paul George, Carmelo, and Russell Westbrook, can work together. And we've had a bunch of people say they don't think it's going to work. Do you think they can eventually find a way to get the basketball moving for these guys to do what they do?
Well, I've watched them play against Golden State, and I felt like that was one of their better games. But since that point, they have fell off. But, I think they will get it together. I feel like that, they're one of those teams that they're going to need more games. When you put three players together who have been stars on their team, who has demanded the ball on several occasions down the court, and now it's only one ball and three of those stars, it's very difficult. And I think Russell Westbrook is the one that's probably dealing with this in a situation where he feels the most uncomfortable, because we watched him last year and the performance that he put on night in and night out, whether he was pounding the ball or not, he brought a different type of tenacity to that team. They've lost that little bit of edge because Russ, I think, has pulled back a little bit, and he's trying to get those other guys involved a little bit. So I just think it's going to take some time. But we all know that Russell Westbrook can turn it up another notch if things start to go haywire. So I just hope that they can continue, and hopefully by All-Star break that this team can turn it around.
Well, it's interesting because, he was so aggressive last year, and we saw the average, the triple-double, and it was the couple of years or the few years before that of a lot of people think is why Durant's not there anymore, because why is Russell shooting so much? Give the ball to Durant. Let him shoot more. But as we find out, when Russell is aggressive, he's pretty darn good. But now when you have those other stars, that's why there are so many people that think this is a one-and-done thing with Oklahoma City, because those other guys really can't make a living there the way they're used to, because it seems like from you're saying, you correct me if I'm wrong, this is going to fall mostly on Russell. Since he touches the ball the most, he's the one that's going to have to defer the most.
Yeah, it is. And he's at a crossroad right now because, as you said, KD left a year ago because he didn't want to play with him, and we don't know what those reasons are, but we seem to think that it was because he's not a very passive guy on the basketball court. So he has to try to win these guys over, Paul George, Carmelo, and try to convince them that he's a team player, he's a willing passer, and that's what he's been dealing with these last few months into the season. So I think they're going to get better. I think it's too much talent right there for it not to jail. And I think in time we will see a different OKC team.
Well, Stephen A. Smith, not one prone to making, not shy about expressing his opinions, for lack of a better term, said it might be time to change the coach. So where are you on how Billy Donovan is managing these three guys?
I'm a big fan of Billy Donovan, so I don't want to go in that direction. I think the talent is truly there. I think it's going to be a decision truly that they're going to have to make. If they want to try to salvage something out of this season. But I think they're in a great position. You can't start to panic right now. You're not going to be better than OKC. Let's just look at it that way. But if you can play well enough to compete with them.
Not going to be better than Golden State, you mean?
Right.
Than Golden State, okay.
Excuse me.
Right,
yeah.
no problem.
They're not going to be better than Golden State. So if you can just compete and continue to play at a high level, I think that's what they want to get out of this season. I don't think they put this team together thinking that they were going to be able to win a championship. I don't even feel that they can go that deep in the playoff because of the way that they've been playing. They have yet to show that they're one of the top 5 teams in the league.
Well, let's talk about a team that has shown that, and can they challenge a team like Golden State? And that's the Houston Rockets. Chris Paul coming back, and they're on a streak. They seem to do unbelievably well when only one of them's on the court, not both at the same time. But are they a legitimate threat to Golden State in the West?
I think they are. I watched them last night, and I've had my thoughts about whether or not Chris Paul and Harden can play together, and I see what Chris Paul brings to the table. A very unique player, a guy that demands respect from his teammates. And his leadership is, it's just unprecedented. What he brings to a basketball team and his impact so fast. I mean, this is a guy that hasn't even been on the court all season, but I can guarantee you he's been on the sideline in every practice and in every game, and his leadership is felt. So when he hit the court, things are in order, and that's what he's given this Houston Rockets team. And they do have an opportunity to challenge a team like Golden State. Staying healthy and continuing to get better, that's what I'm seeing out of this Houston Rockets team. They're very excited to play with each other, and when you see that, you feel like that is something special in that organization. And this Houston Rockets team, the general manager built this team to compete with Golden State. So we'll see how it pans out.
Scottie Pippen with us here on Golick and Wingo. Why do you think it's working so much better for Houston than it is with a new, like you said, a new person with Chris Paul there, as opposed to the chemistry issues that Oklahoma City is having? Because it seems like one influx of new talent is working well, as we just talked about, 11 straight wins when Chris Paul is on the floor, as opposed to the struggles in Oklahoma City.
Well, I think you just said it. It's Chris Paul. His style of play as a point guard compared to Russell Westbrook. Two different styles. Chris Paul demands the basketball for different reasons than Russ. You watch how Russ play. He gets the ball. He pushes it. It's more to see how he can break the defense down. Where Chris Paul he's more of a floor general. He's
right.
Orchestrating. He's putting guys in position, and then he attacks. So they're two different players. Chris Paul wants to control the tempo. He wants to control the scoring. And when you got a guy that's doing that, you're going to be in a lot of basketball games. You're not going to be getting blown out. You're going to execute, and you're going to play the right way. And on the other hand, Russ don't have what Chris Paul has. He doesn't have that calmness about his game. He doesn't have the same type of leadership out on the basketball court where he demands excellence from his teammates. You watch Chris Paul's team, and those guys never take bad shots. If they're not open, they're looking to get the ball back in Chris' hands. Whereas when you watch how Russ play, he pounds the ball a lot. And he doesn't give guys an opportunity to score like a Chris Paul. And that's why you see one team is playing well and you see one team that's struggling, because it's hard for Russ to change what he did last season when he was an MVP by playing that way.
Russ and calm, I don't think we'll ever be in a sentence together.
Yeah.
I don't
Frenetic,
think
maybe.
Yeah, it's Scottie Pippen joining us in studio here, 2010 Hall of Fame class, 7-time NBA All-Star, 6-time NBA champ. Looking at Golden State, still the cream of the crop in that conference, it would seem in most people's eyes, even though Houston has the record right now. Last year we saw Durant have the knee injury. Not a history of it, so he heals up, comes back, and MVP in the finals and such. Steph Curry, though, missing time with ankles that he's had ankle issues with. So how much do you worry about somebody who's had issues with something, has it again, missing some significant time, and going forward and having that reoccur?
Well, being a player that's played in a lot of postseason and dealing with ankle problems throughout my career, those things happen. When you play a lot of games, 82-game season, 10 or so preseason games, and now you go into the playoffs, and your season is extended so much, and then before you know it, you're back playing another season. So that's what happens to championship teams. They break down physically, and that's when the other teams are able to sneak in and push them out. So that's where you question whether or not a team can stay on a run, as we did in the 90s, is can you stay healthy?
Scottie Pippen with us, ESPN NBA analyst, and that's really shorting his list of accomplishments.
Yes, I'd say.
We put it that way. But, look, we're going all access tomorrow on ESPN's platforms in advance of the Sixers game against Oklahoma City. Where are you in the process and what Joel Embiid has brought to this league and what he can be when it's all said and done?
Man, I love the process.
Right? You got to trust it now, baby.
I love his demeanor, his personality. And on the basketball court, he's just a superb player. Very high IQ, shooting the basketball from behind the three-point line. Has the ability to, drive from 24 feet out and still finish at the rim. He's just a very skilled big man, and, he has a great personality for it.
Yeah, you see those big guys.
Personality is there, by the way.
A lot of times, as you know, those big guys can be a little introverted. Shaq certainly wasn't, and this guy certainly seems to be going down that road. We had a question along the lines of the 76ers a couple of days ago. If you had the choice right now, could only take one for your team, would you take Porzingis from the Knicks or Ben Simmons from the 76ers?
Man.
And we can see there's probably no wrong answer.
You can't
no
lose.
Wrong answer.
Right, you can't, but we're still making you pick.
Exactly right.
I'm going to take Porzingis.
You are?
Yeah, I like the size, the skills. Not a knock against Ben.
No, not at all.
He's just hasn't developed quite the way that I thought he would, especially shooting the basketball. Very skilled player, ambidextrous, finished well, great passer, but Porzingis is a very special player, as we know. 7-footer, can handle the ball, can shoot the three, can defend, can rebound. He's a special player, and I think in the next couple of years, as he get more physically developed, we're going to see a difference.
It's interesting because Barkley yesterday said he would take Porzingis as well, and the difference was Ben coming along on his shooting still has a little ways to go. Certainly has the other aspects of it down, as well, but he would take Porzingis.
Well, the versatility you get with Porzingis is what's so interesting.
But they're both freaks, a 6'10" point guard and a 7'3" freak.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
We were talking about the last point guard that big was probably Magic, although you could make the case that now, specifically, and at times over the past few years, LeBron has really played the point at 6'9". And we were talking about this before we got on the air, as Golic and Wingo was presented by Progressive Insurance, comparing rates to help you save. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today and find out how much Progressive could save you. LeBron, 15 years in, you said something that I thought you thought this is the best he's ever played.
He's superb, man. I mean, 15 years in the league, most guys are thinking, where am I going to be in the next couple of years when I retire? Or this guy is not even looking at retirement. I mean, he's playing superb. He's efficient. That's what I say about LeBron. Just efficient. Never misses games. Just the guy that, very reliable. And to see him still doing this and still have the excitement, tenacity to come out and perform every night in front of the fans. He's just a superb player.
One of the things you see players who play that long as they get older, when you have to kind of self-notice things may be diminishing, you have to compensate by doing something else. Is he there yet? Is he doing any of that, or is he still doing what he's been doing 10 years ago, 15 years ago?
I feel like he's still doing what he was doing when he first came in the league. LeBron has mastered the game of basketball to the point where he's able to do things on his own, but he's also able to pull back and utilize his teammates to keep him there. And he's just had a superb career in terms of a guy that's very durable. And to see him still doing this 15th season, you wonder how long can this go on?
And with all the postseasons he's been in, it's like he's played an extra full season of games on those legs. So like we asked, can Houston challenge Golden State? How about the Celtics? Let's give them a little love. And Gordon Hayward now out of the walking boot, unbelievably, they talk about as the possibility of him playing in April, which would be unreal. But even without him, what they're doing, do you see them as a legitimate threat to the Cavaliers?
No. I'm going to be honest.
Really?
I like what the Celtics have created. I like the culture that they've been able to create. And I've never been a Celtics fan my whole life, but I enjoy watching the Celtics. I enjoy watching Kyrie. I enjoy watching them last season. But I think this team is really built for regular season. When I watched what happened to them last season in the postseason, I felt like that if the Bulls could have stayed healthy and kept Rondo on the court, that they would have lost in the first round. Now, given the fact that they did make it to the Eastern Conference Final, they were no match for Cleveland. And I feel that that gap is still there, and they haven't closed it.
Well, it's
even though they've taken Kyrie away, I don't think that Kyrie will have that kind of impact against his old team come playoff time.
Well, look, you played 17 seasons, okay, which is a ridiculously long time.
Yeah.
And you, as we said, you're in the Hall of Fame. You were voted one of the top 50 players in the history of the NBA. Your numbers in your 15th season, when you were playing for Portland, you averaged 10.6 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, and I'm trying to find assists here. So, decent numbers. And then you look at
10 assists.
10 assists. Okay, well, we'll give you 10.
No, just kidding.
We'll give you close to that. But my point is, here it is, 6 assists. 6 assists. So 10.6.
Lonzo Ball.
5.2 boards and 6 assists. That's what makes the LeBron numbers so fascinating, right? I mean, I get it. You were a few years older because you were in college longer than and LeBron. He went straight from high school. But the idea that someone could be putting up these type of numbers in his 15th season, when you look at his numbers, minutes 37, points per game 28.2, rebounds 8.2, assists 9 per game, field goal percentage 58%, and the three ball at 42%. It's crazy.
He's amazing. As you get older in the game, and no one went in the game other than, guys like Kobe and Garnett. No one went in the game like these guys as young as they did coming out of high school. So when you see what LeBron has been able to do in terms of his growth and his development, it's amazing because he gets better and better each season. And no matter where you put him or who you put around him, that team is going to be one of the top teams in the game. So, you just don't see guys playing this long at this level. And to see a guy like LeBron doing this, I mean, he's just been amazing to watch for the last 15 years for me.
So you're going to have a guy 15 years in playing against a guy 28 games in tonight when the Cavaliers take on the Lakers.
It's a slight discrepancy.
And Lonzo Ball, and obviously he in the news for the family, but he's making a name for himself. We know the scoring he has to work on and such, but just your thoughts about him and his rookie year, 1 year in college, and what you think he's doing now and what his growth potential is.
Well, I think that the growth potential is wide open. I think this is a player that, we put a lot of pressure on him because of his dad. We've asked for, higher expectations. But I think for a rookie, when you look at his numbers, they're great numbers. Scoring 10 points in this league and, getting 7 assists or 7 rebounds, stuff like that. Those are great numbers. Those are numbers that you win with. And that's what I feel like this kid is going to bring to this Laker organization is a winning attitude, a winning spirit. You watch the way that he plays. He's very contagious to his teammates. They're all passing the ball. They're playing together. The Lakers look fun again, and I do believe that it's because of Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, he's certainly helping. But another rookie like Kyle Kuzma has to feel like, hey, wait a minute, where's the love for me?
What about me?
Leading the Lakers in scoring, has 6 rebounds a game as well. He's having himself a good young team, no doubt about it.
He certainly is, and we'll see what happens as they take on the Cavaliers tonight. Scottie, as always, we appreciate you being with us.
It.
Any chance you could bust out a little Barry White before you go?
No, I don't know any Barry White music, man. That's kind of a little too old for me.
Remember, we said cocktails need to be involved.
That's true.
So
we had to do that first. We weren't prepared. That's our fault. We apologize. Scottie, thanks for being with us. Scottie Pippen, one of the greatest to ever play in the NBA.
Hey, everyone. Mike Golick here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I've never felt more alive.
Disclaimer. Geico cannot guarantee you will feel more alive. You either possess functioning respiratory and circulatory systems, or you do not, or you are a zombie. If you are indeed a brain-starved zombie and you would like to save money on car insurance, the Geico legal team applauds your excellent life choices, even in your shambling afterlife. But we strongly encourage you to visit geico.com or download the Geico app. Please stay a minimum of 500 feet away from our large and presumably delicious brains.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
We are presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. But, with something that's happened in the NFL the last couple of seasons, it got us to thinking a little bit about how much stock can you put into an evaluation of drafting a quarterback. Because 2015 and 2016, we had back-to-back years in which quarterbacks went 1-2 in the draft. Jameis Winston 1, Marcus Mariota 2 in 2015, and then in 2016, we had Jared Goff go number 1 overall, and then Carson Wentz go number 2 overall. And if you look at the raw data, it certainly appears that we were right, and when I say we, the collective people around the draft and the evaluators, in taking Goff and Wentz 1-2 in 2016, but were we all wrong in taking Winston and Mariota 1-2 in 2015? And what makes that really interesting is that all the hype leading up to the draft in 2015 was clearly, is it going to be Winston or Mariota 1-2? They are going to go top 2 in the draft. The order is, how is it going to shake down? Whereas in 2016, it kind of slid into the equation that Jared Goff and the Eagles and Carson Wentz would go 1 and 2, especially with the trades that were made. Remember, the Rams made a big trade to move up. Then the Eagles made a big trade to move up, and you started saying to yourself, you only make those trades and you move those kind of picks if you're moving up to get a quarterback, much in the same way the Chiefs and the Texans moved up 10 or 12 spots this year to get Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, not at 1 and 2, but later in the draft. And so leading up to the entire 2016 draft, it never felt like, really, this is going to be a 1-2 quarterback draft, like Manning, Leaf, Meyer, Bledsoe, all those years, or, Griffin, RG3, Andrew Luck. It never felt that way leading up to the draft, but if you look at the numbers now, Mike, it certainly seems like perhaps that was the one year where we should have locked it in.
Yeah, it does look like, I was a Jameis guy. I said I would have taken Jameis number 1. He would have been my quarterback over Mariota. Mariota at this point, 55, 33 touchdown interception. Jameis 64, 41. And Mariota looking at the possibility of another surgery, this offseason with his ankle. Jameis already had some shoulder issues, but we've expected more, haven't we? Remember,
absolutely.
Hard Knocks this year at the beginning of the season, Dirk Cutter basically said to Jameis Winston, it's kind of time, not for you to be Aaron Rodgers, but he invoked the name Aaron Rodgers and others, but to start to be that type of, this is where you are, as one of the better quarterbacks. Again, not to say he was as good as Aaron. That's not what Cutter was saying. And Gerald McCoy had said on Hard Knocks, we only go as far as number 3 takes us. It's Jameis Winston's team. This is his team. And it hasn't gone that well. It has not gone that well from not only on field, but some of the leadership roles as well. The thing on the sidelines with the fingers on the neck of Lattimore, and then Evans comes in and cleans him up. And Mariota, the one great thing we had said about Mariota is he had been money in the red zone by not throwing an interception, right?
Going back to Oregon,
he had been incredible there, but not as much developing outside of that. We know he can run the ball pretty well as well. So there has been kind of a pause, it seems, in the development of these quarterbacks. And you wonder why. Now, does it mean, their careers are going to go on and they're going to be average quarterbacks? No, it doesn't mean that at all. They're still their third year. They have more time to go. But the expectation, especially when you're 1 and 2, is that you would be further along by this time.
Well, especially when you look at the numbers year 2 for Goff and Wentz, as opposed to the numbers where we are in year 3 for Mariota and for Winston. Look, wins and losses are sometimes a hard measurable to go to quarterbacks. I believe a quarterback can play very well and his team not be very good. Mm-hmm. So, but you look at these numbers: Winston and Mariota combined 10 and 12. Goff and Wentz 20 and 6 this season. TDs to interceptions: Winston and Mariota 24 against 22. Goff and Wentz 53 against 13 interceptions. And then the metric that ESPN uses to how a quarterback plays in relation to how it helps their team win: total QBR this season for Winston and Mariota in year 3 in 2 teams that we thought would contend in their divisions, 48 out of 100, whereas Goff and Wentz are 65.4 out of 100. And look, obviously Wentz's season is over, but Wentz set a franchise record for most touchdown passes in Eagles history with more than 3 games to play. He went out in the second half of the game against the Rams. And so it just makes you wonder, was the evaluation missed a little bit on these 2 guys with Mariota and James?
Are we ready to say that, or are we willing to say things, around them? Do you say, what kind of talent are you putting around? Let's look at Mariota. Your tight end is your leading receiver. Delaney Walker, who's been around for still a fine receiving tight end, no doubt about it. But if you're going to be an explosive offensive team, that's really not who you want leading your team. Now, I do like the 1-2 punch of Henry and Murray in the backfield.
And that's what Malarkey likes to do, their head coach.
The good bookends of Conklin and Llewellyn at the tackles for the offensive line, but not a lot of power and heavy hitting from the receiving core. You have Rashard Matthews, second with 44, and then Decker, who they brought in at 40. And then you look out in Tampa Bay. You have Mike Evans, who you love as a receiver, and you bring in Deshaun Jackson thinking, all right, now we got a big guy in Evans. We got a guy that can take off the top of the defense in Deshaun. We get Doug Martin back, and that's been in and out at running back. Cameron Brate has come on, quite honestly, as a tight end. But so you look at it from a weapons side, and you thought the defense for Tampa Bay was going to be coming along a little more. So does that come into play at all of who the weapons are around them in this evaluation?
It does, and to me it does, because they went out and were aggressive, especially in Tampa Bay in the offseason. Look, last year they didn't have a single 50-yard play in Tampa. They were the only team
and
last year.
That's why they got Jackson.
And they got Deshaun Jackson. Well, they have one 50-yard play this year. And that would be to the tight end, O.J. Howard, the rookie out of Alabama. In fact, we looked it up yesterday on NFL Live. They only have one 50-yard play over the last 2 seasons, by far the lowest in the NFL. And those are the plays that change games. Deshaun Jackson has 38 50-yard plays from scrimmage. Forget his kick returns, which are ridiculous as well over his career. He has 38 in his career 50-yard plays from scrimmage. And to put that in some sort of perspective, the Cleveland Browns, who have started the first team ever in NFL history to start back-to-back seasons at 0-13, have 4 50-yard plays over the last 2 years, and the Bucs have 1, and it was to a tight end. So it just, when you look at the weapons with Mike Evans, with O.J. Howard, with Cameron Brate, with Doug Martin, with Deshaun Jackson, it's not clicking. I don't know what the reason is, but it's not going anywhere near what I think the expectations were for that offense. Now, the Mariota thing is interesting because he's thrown a lot more interceptions this year.
Yeah, he has.
He's dealing with, look, he broke his leg last year. I get that. And now he's dealing with a hamstring injury. But the one thing that we thought about Marcus is that he'll protect the football. He'll use his legs to run and put the team in a good position to win. But you have an excellent point about the receivers. They've tried a bunch. They got the young receiver Corey Davis,
right,
and he's battled some injuries.
Yes, he has.
So maybe that's been a part of it. But for whatever reason, these two guys in their third year are nowhere near what Wentz and Goff are in their second year.
No, they're not. No, you can easily say that.
Yeah.
Easily it can point toward and I think the best story out of them all is Goff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Carson Wentz came in and did a representative job his rookie year, right?
Started out really well, then had a little hitch toward the back half of his rookie year.
But no more than Goff was even active in the beginning of the season. Starts 7 games, doesn't win one of them. Everybody's ready to talking about what could you get for him in a trade, or he's on the the junk pile. And here you go with Sean McVay and what he's doing, where Goff is right now. That is the textbook definition of you do not draft a quarterback for his rookie year.
Right.
You draft him for a decade. So I'll still say that about Mariota and about Winston. We're in their third year. Are they behind what we think the curve should be because they went 1 and 2? There's going to be those expectations. Yes, they're behind that. But I'm certainly in no way near ready to say, well, those were busts.
No.
You got to give them some more time on that.
You're not ready to cut the cord, but you begin to start looking and trying to find out why these things aren't working, especially when the Bucs made the change at head coach because they believed Dirk Cutter, who was the offensive coordinator before he got the head coaching job, was going to be that guy that was going to work well with Jameis Winston. That also hasn't worked out.
See, that's another thing, too. Sean McVay just started,
coaching matters.
and Doug Peterson's going to be in Philly. Dirk Cutter going to be hanging there. That could be an iffy one in Tampa Bay. I think Malarkey in Tennessee.
Yeah, Malarkey.
Yeah, I think he'll be there. We don't hear that he's in any kind of trouble. I think of the 4 coaches we're talking about, forget the 2 for the Rams and the Eagles.
They're not going anywhere.
But Dirk Cutter maybe one that might be flirting a little bit.
Look, with a lot of veteran quarterbacks that may be out there, it's going to be an interesting offseason across the because there are always surprise firings. There's always a surprise move as well. And the NFL offseason, which starts sometime in March when the official league year begins, it's going to be very interesting this year more than any other.
Go Look and Wingo, presented by 1-800-Flowers. Don't stress over the holidays. 1-800-Flowers.com makes it easy to find great holiday presents for great prices, like up to 40% off best-selling bouquets, arrangements, and holiday goodies. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN.
All right, Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. That was Sonny and Cher.
Yes, it was.
Singing I Got You, Babe.
Yes,
somebody thought that would be one of the songs we should sing in karaoke. And then I brought the question, well, who would be Sonny and who would be Cher? And you put that one out there.
I would be Sonny.
And I would be...
You'd be whatever I said you'd be.
That's exactly
This all
right.
started, about, 4 hours ago, a little less than 4 hours ago, when Mike was on the show after First and Last. He came on our show and talked about, as I said, yesterday there was a big quote-unquote talent meeting here with over 500 on-air people at ESPN, a big meeting. Rarely does that happen. So Mike ended up, I did what my 55-year-old body would do. I went home, and he did what his single 28-year-old body would do. He went out with some people from ESPN.
As he should.
Yes. And they ended up doing some karaoke. And while we were talking about it during the show this morning, Mike and I actually did a little bit of singing as well. Do you have that up there?
I do. I think we all chimed in on this one, and this was one of your go-tos.
My go-to song.
Looking Glass, 1974, I believe.
It is a great song. I'm not going to begrudge you that. There you go.
She serves them whiskey and wine. The sailors say, Brandy,
please
you're a
now.
fine girl.
Such a fine girl.
What a good wife you would be.
Yeah.
Little Brandy and Looking Glass. Now, what I was proud of.
On a western bay, and it serves. Go ahead.
There you go. What I was proud of is my son, I think I've had a good influence on all my kids, knew that song to chime right in word for word.
Very, very important. Although I think that you get a little pass there because it was a big part of Guardians in the Galaxy, too.
It was. That is
big
true.
Opening scene. That brought it back for a lot of people.
And I could probably say I would not have been able to chime in on the songs he was singing last night.
Didn't even know those songs.
In karaoke. What has been funny in songs that you and I grew up on, my kids, and I'm sure yours, because they're about the same age, when Glee was the popular, so they thought Glee did those songs. No. There were people that actually did the songs before Glee did the songs.
That was a cover for somebody else.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
By the way, somebody else suggested this one for us. Do we have this one?
Bam-a-lam.
Oh, Black Betty. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's all I know of that
All right,
song.
we're horrible on that one.
Yeah, that's a bad one. But again, Cliff's got it.
Have you ever karaoke?
Oh, yeah.
You have? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Steve Miller, the Joker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
the gang, Space Cowboy,
Yeah.
Maurice, the Pompatus of Love. These are all good things.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know you did. I wanted to make sure you got out there as well.
It's not something I would say I do on a regular basis.
How about Jay tweets in, Marty Smith, thank God I'm a country boy.
Absolutely.
Or Sweet Home Alabama.
Either one of those would work.
I completely agree. We did Jalen Jacoby, Every Rose.
Has it
Get
thorn?
Jalen Rose.
I got it.
Okay.
Also,
Jalen Rose and
I got
Rose.
it. Again, to sum it up, I got it.
Okay.
Sarah Spain was very popular
Yes.
with this.
Yes, it was.
Alan wrote in, she's a lady for Sarah Spain, to which Sarah responded, I prefer Brick House by the Commodores.
Okay.
And then in parentheses, extra bonus information, my real karaoke go-to is Nothing But a G Thing.
Well, there you go.
So Sarah apparently has a lot of time on her hands.
Uh-huh. Barry tweets in for Stugatz.
Yeah.
George Thorogood, 1 bourbon, one scotch, one beer.
There you go. Well, that's another Bad to the Bone is also a great, because basically you don't really have to sing for Bad to the Bone. You just have to go, da-na-na-na-na.
That's exactly
and
right.
say the same thing in every single song and the same tone. Da-na-na-na-na. That's essentially it.
And then anybody that puts in Paul Feinbaum, I don't even care about the song.
I want to hear it.
Craig says Paul Feinbaum, Freebird, which just to see Paul Feinbaum up
if
at a microphone.
If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me?
So
the
good.
problem with Freebird is it's a 9-minute song.
Forever.
So
Forever.
You really have to be into the person singing it or into Freebird for that to work.
And then I think a great sing-along song that we hear in stadiums as well. Someone else said you and I should sing it. And it's a crowd favorite. As soon as you start singing it, everybody does. You know where I'm going? Sweet Caroline.
Yes.
I mean, that one, everybody just jumps in on that one. So that would be a good one to do because everybody else would help you with that as well.
All right, so we went through all of that today because we did.
Why not?
Exactly right. Last Thursday night game.
Last
Thursday night game until the Hall of Fame game. Who do you got? Colts or Broncos?
I think I'm going to go with Denver. Just at the end of the day, I mean, there's nothing to like about either one of these teams except occasionally the Denver defense. So I'll probably go with the Denver defense. So I'll probably go with Denver. Looking forward to the color rush. Colts are in blue and Broncos are in orange.
All right, I'll go with Denver, too. By the way, guests tomorrow for our Sixers All Access, including Dr. J.
Nice.
How about that? We're singing Golic and Wing. Go see you.